Well, hello. Welcome to my channel. I am Marion Busfield with Engaging Curiosity. The videos on this channel support beginning and all teachers with evidence-based classroom management strategies. I loved my time in the classroom and I was privileged to spend close to 19 years with students in a variety of contexts. Before I headed into the classroom, I was a homeschooling mom, and then I became a classroom assistant. And shortly after becoming a classroom assistant, I got offered a job as a literacy program supervisor in the local school district. And that's a bit of a story, but not for today. Um, then I went back to school to get my ed degree, and I became a homeschool oversight teacher. And from there, I went into the classroom, into a brick and mortar surrounding, and became a K-9 teacher in various contexts. I taught math and science grades 8 and 9. And then, of course, the variety of subjects in the elementary campus. I was a learning support and literacy intervention teacher. And then towards the end, I spent 5 years with teaching a grade 1-2 multi-grade classroom. So with a variety of specialist diplomas and many, many conferences that I attended in my role as a special educator, I have culled what I know from many, many experts. Teachers, yes, but also from neurologists, speech language pathologists, trauma specialists, math specialists. There is wisdom to be shared. Wisdom that will make your classroom management run smoothly and give you back your weekends. This training should be available to all teachers, the training that I had. My passion now is to create opportunities for you to draw from what those experts shared with me. Let's dive into today's topic. So today we're diving into the fascinating world of learning styles and what they really mean for students and teachers alike. And like I mentioned in the title, which is kind of a teaser title, it's not what you think. To be honest, with my background in learning support for years and years and years, I've heard about learning styles, and some of what I first believed about learning styles and shared with a prof, and they said, no, no, do you actually think it can work like that? And now research is showing it can in fact work like that. And I won't bother explaining what that is. But that's the point of research, is that we're constantly learning new things. And so what we thought was true once, we're now refining and understanding in greater detail. And it doesn't mean throwing out the baby with the bathwater, horrible phrase, but you know what I mean. Um, it means that we hone our skills, we fine tune our understanding. So, welcome to the real scoop on learning styles. So, what are learning styles all about? Simply put, they're the way students like to absorb information. But here's a twist. Learning styles are now being considered more learning preferences. They're actually more about what the student enjoys rather than a fixed characteristic, which is kind of what they've been considered prior to this. But like anything, they're on a spectrum. So some students prefer auditory a little bit, but they're also strong visual learners. I've got a friend who can turn an object in his mind and inside his head and examine it like a 3D object. But he's also very tactile and plays the piano and auditory, obviously, because he plays by ear. So he's got kind of all three of those that he's juggling. But some people are very much more entrenched further along the spectrum in really focusing and focused better through one specific preference. So although this might be controversial to some, the million-dollar question, does tailoring teaching to these styles make a difference? Research surprisingly suggests not so much. It challenges us to rethink how we've been doing things. The 2009 issue of Psychological Science in the Public Interest asked a noted psychologist, a few of them actually, Harold Pashler, Mark McDaniel, Doug Rohrer, and Robert Bjork, to do a meta-analysis on the research on learning styles. And a meta-analysis is, it took me a while to learn this, so just to share with you, it's taking all the accumulated research and going through it and sifting through all the data and taking all the data from all that research and then finding out what it had as a whole body of research. And so they did a meta-analysis on learning styles to determine if there's credible evidence to support the focus on learning styles in the classroom. They found that several studies that use appropriate research designs, because that's relevant, whether or not the research design is appropriate, whether or not it's peer reviewed, there's a number of factors, and they found evidence that contradicted the learning styles hypothesis. So what they all also said is, even though traditional views on learning styles aren't strongly supported by evidence, the heart of great teaching is adaptable, evidence-based methods, and that's where the magic happens. So we are not going to be worrying whether or not, oh my goodness, that child's a visual learner, I have to have visual at all of my lessons. Well, let's face it. I mean, I personally find that when I incorporate tactiles and when I incorporate videos and when it's colorful and there's pictures and I can get the kids up and moving, I have more fun as a teacher because it's also more engaging. It's not just about a learning preference or learning, what we're now, saying preference instead of style. It's also about creating engagement. It's also about building a love of learning within the student. And all of us prefer those things more. So we're not throwing it all out. So here's where I think the confusion occurs. The research is not saying that the same method of instruction is best for all contexts and all learners. Obviously, using a lab experiment will make chemistry lessons more vivid, and geometry will likely be best with visual spatial materials. Preferences shouldn't be thrown out altogether. They can spark engagement and make learning much more exciting. We want to keep that spark of learning alive in our students. So here's my tip for you. Mix up your teaching methods. When students experience learning through different modes, they will get to see the bigger picture and develop more robust skills. And I think I was mentioning this earlier. From the research of Harold Pashler et al., they clarified that teachers' observations identifying that a student may learn better than in one way rather than another is relevant and highly important. They're just saying don't waste time and money testing for learning styles. That money and time can be better spent on other things. Using those assessments to drive instructional choices is an inappropriate use of resources. Students will still have their preferred modalities, and you will notice those, especially with students with strong preferences, you will notice those in your teacher observations. These preferences may create more engagement, and that will further their success. So again, don't throw it all out. There may also be, as I mentioned earlier with the chemistry example, ways to teach some subjects which will just make more sense than others. For example, just because a student likes to learn through verbal descriptions, so through auditory channels, that's not going to be the best fit when you're teaching them about visual art. It would be best to look at and even touch these things in some cases, the subject being studied. However, a variety of instructional styles and strategies serves the student best all the time. Learning through their preferred method is engaging, but learning through other methods can help them to gain a perspective and understanding not available using only their preferred method. So I prefer touching things and seeing things. As a matter of fact, when I'm watching a video these days, I've discovered that I like having the captions on because when I'm listening to accents, sometimes I miss something, and so that helps me to catch it all. So it gives me a better understanding and a clearer picture of what's going on in the movie. But so I've got the visual and auditory supporting me there. Make sense? So as we all know, this is part of differentiation. What we're discussing is part of differentiation, and differentiation is a rock star strategy. It helps to personalize learning experiences to cater to every student's needs. It is about using varied content processes and environments to hit the sweet spot in your teaching. So while the debate over learning styles continues, learning styles versus learning preferences, it's most important to stay focused on what truly impacts student success, which is a balanced approach to differentiation. That's really the summary. Embracing the understanding of learning preferences can lead to engaging and meaningful learning experiences without the ball and chain of conforming to learning styles and the waste of time and money on determining learning styles. Knowing that students may have individual preferences, teachers can develop diverse instructional strategies that create both engagement and deeper understanding. Research may not strongly support the traditional view of learning styles, but it does highlight the importance of adaptable, evidence-based teaching methods. Strong evidence-based instructional methods do incorporate a variety of approaches that both suit the subject matter and that meet the unique needs of the student in your classroom. So what really I am saying with this whole video is you don't need to have your lessons hijacked by the idea of learning styles, but we do need to understand the importance of learning preferences. This is about saving time and money on wasting those resources on things that are not necessarily the best value for those resources, and instead understanding preferences and to create engaging lessons that meet a number of preferences, and then we're away to the races. All right? Hope that makes sense. In the end, it's all about creating engaging experiences that resonate with your students. Just embrace their preferences while keeping your teaching strategies fresh and diverse. And that's important for you as a teacher as much as it is for your students. I mean, my passion unit, I had a fantastic unit. And then, the next time I taught it, I sat down and I was at school till 8 one night as I refined it. And I think I refined it 2 additional times just that year. And I loved the unit. It was successful. The students already loved it, but I wanted more because I have a low boredom threshold. So keeping your lessons vital is important for you as well as your students. That doesn't mean rewrite all your units every time, because that's a lot of work and then you certainly won't have your weekends back. But it means always be prepared to refresh and update for your sake as well as for your students. Meanwhile, are you ready to take your classroom management to the next level? Download my gift to you, which is the free classroom management checklist. You can see at the far right to get you started on the path to better teacher self-care, because as you get that management under control, you will have your weekends back. Use the bit.ly link you can see on the screen, or scan the QR code with your phone camera, or find a link in the description down below. I appreciate so much you sharing your time with me today. Thank you for joining me. Please join me again, and you will see some suggested videos on the right of the screen. If you found this video helpful, also I would ask, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks again for joining me. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.